Okay, Tommy, when did you first go to sea and what age?
1948, July 1948. It's about 17.
What was your first ship?
The Dilga, Adelaide Steamship Company coal burner.
D-I-L-G-A.
Yep.
What was your last one, mate?
My last one was the Island Gas.
Island Gas. What year was that?
About 1993.
Right. What made you go to sea?
Oh, well, I was an apprentice in the Rylands engineering works in Newcastle. And I was sure I wasn't going to stand alongside a lathe for the rest of my life, so I decided to go to sea.
Right.
I had to borrow £1, it was £1 to join the union. And I joined the union and I was away that night. I was a deck boy on the Dilga.
Right. And on the Dilga, how many were in the crew?
Well, it's hard to say. There was a coal burner, be about 36 I should imagine. Yeah, it was on deck and down below.
Right.
Stewards. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It was a coal burner.
And what were the conditions like? Like, how much were your wages and...
Oh, I can't remember now. They weren't very much as a deck boy.
Yeah.
But I remember it was 4 in a room then, lived aft. Seaman on one side, the fireman on the other.
What were you working?
Two separate mess rooms.
Right. What were your working hours?
Yeah. Oh, well, I was day work being a deck boy. In the morning you had to scrub out the bosun and the donkeyman's rooms and little mess room they had. And also at meal times you had to help to bring the meals aft with the Peggy, because they were all kit service in them days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long did you used to get into port for loading and discharging on that one?
Oh, well, you did. You had quite a long time. We used to load bagged sugar in Lucinda Point, Bowen, and take it down to Adelaide to the sugar works in Adelaide. Yeah.
And on there, your duties, as you said, was you'd give the Peggy or you'd give them a hand for the... But
in the afternoon,
yeah.
you went with the worked on deck. But I was very fortunate. The storekeeper was an old German bloke called Dick Bluedoor.
Oh,
He
Dick.
taught me the compass and everything, knots, splices, whatnot.
Oh, it's with Dick on the Trieste.
Well, he's a very good bloke.
Yeah.
Dick Bluedoor, yeah.
He was on one of the German raiders.
That's right, yeah.
The Cormorant, not the Cormorant. Was it the Cormorant he was on?
I don't know.
Oh,
yeah.
he's on one of them anyway, yeah.
Yeah, he was a real good bloke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The how did your duties change as you came up through the
Oh,
deck
well.
boy Bucko AB?
Yeah, well, you was ordinary seaman, then you went AB, didn't you? Well, they changed because you learnt your job there, and you took more of a part in the running of the ship, you know, those days.
And in them days with Dilga, she would have been all hand steering?
She was chain and rod, yeah.
Chain and rod?
Yeah, with the relieving tackle on it.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Did you ever have to use it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Tighten it up now and
Yeah.
again, yeah. And it went over the accommodation. You had to oil it as well.
Yeah.
It was squeaking all night, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the tackle like, mate?
Well, there was always blues about the tucker there all the time. The delegates were always up about it, because you can imagine what it was like when a kit, everybody had to dive into a kit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing. That was the best thing you ever did when they got plate service.
Yeah.
But that took a long time.
Yeah, yeah. The employer, what did he provide you in the way of, you know, like linen and soap and that, your safety gear, tools, what were the gear?
Safety gear, there was no safety gear when I first went away,
Yeah.
see, no. Soap and linen you got. And I always remember there was sand soap for scrubbing the bloody tables, and they were like the tables and just the forms, you know.
Yeah.
You had to scrub them. The mess rooms, had to be done every day. That polish the brass, that all had to be done by deck boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What different types of ships have you been on, mate?
Oh, BHP, Union Company, tanker, 2 tankers, The one running to the States, that was the the BHP Gippsland.
Oh, in Gippsland.
Yeah, in Gippsland, yeah. Yeah, she's gone now. She was
Yeah.
underpowered, that thing, only did about 10 knots.
Yeah.
Took us 26 days to get there. Yeah.
Over the years, mate, you would have come across quite a few characters. Any of them jump to mind?
Well, the ones that really impressed me were the communists, mainly. The Kenny Swift and all those people, you know. Alan Allport you've got here,
Yeah.
and quite a few. Alan Oliver. You know, joined the Communist Party, and I'm still a communist. I believe that's the way forward.
Mm.
Right.
Now, you sort of had a little bit of a diversion in your career too, didn't you? You went to New Zealand for a
Yeah, I
while.
was on New Zealand ships there. We fought the good fight there. I became an official there in 1963 or something. Oh no, about 62. And I left in 1965.
Yeah.
Break up with the marriage and all that, carry on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but we, at those times it was ruled by a real right-wing clique, was Finton Patrick Walsh, who had his own standover men and all that.
Yeah.
And we battled away in there, and we gradually got elected. Pincher Mountain was the first one through.
Yeah.
He got elected, he became the president, and I became the secretary in Auckland.
Oh, yeah.
And one of our biggest things that I can recall there was when we got rid of the old bloody bull system. We used to have to line up and bloody mate our engineer walk up and down and look you over like cattle.
Yeah.
Well, we beat that and we got a roster system, and I think that was one of the most progressive moves of the time I was in there doing that. Took a long time.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of blokes that were with the Northern Company and all that, and they all had their little inns and people, and they got picked up by the mate. It was all that type of stuff that we had to, jacking up jobs and all that.
Yeah.
Well, the roster system got rid of that completely, and what it was that the members didn't have to compete against each other for a job, you know.
Yeah.
So it helped the unity there.
Mm. What made you go to New Zealand?
I just wanted to change, that was all, to go overseas a bit, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, because I had a few ships from India and all that lot.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but then I came back on the coast again in 67.
Oh, yeah.
1967, yeah.
Was there a big difference between Australian shipping and Kiwi shipping at the time?
There was, yeah. Because the Australian Seaman unit had a progressive leadership over time. They had communist leadership and a shared leadership with the Labour Party, you know.
Yeah.
But mainly it was the communists that led the struggle there. Yeah, those were the times of the Menzies era and the attempt to ban the Communist Party.
Yeah.
All those things. And the Seamen's Union came through it really well because it had the correct leadership.
Yeah.
Communist leadership, and I think that's what's lacking in a lot of units today. There's no communist leadership.
Yeah, it's true, mate.
Yeah.
In your time at sea or in the office, you would have had some highs and lows, some good times, some bad times. Any of them?
Oh well, there's always bad times in office.
Yeah.
Because no matter what you do, there's always some people disagree with it. You know?
Yeah.
And that's life. That's what it's all about. And yeah, you could say, you know, it's hard to recall those sorts because it's a day-to-day thing. You know, you got problems coming up every day. No problem's the same as the other. They're always different. So it's a bottomless pit being an official, because unless you change the system you live under, your sons will be fighting the same battles.
That's right.
And that's what's happening today.
I was trying to explain to the wife this morning how we used to, you know, you'd stick the ships up and you get 2 for 1, and you take it in turns, and you try and keep the married men out of it. And,
that's right, yeah.
Sometimes you'd get no wages for it'd all be logged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you used to get 2 for 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Yeah. Well, I remember once when I was ordinary seaman, I think it was called a Kalana. John Brennan was relieving official in Sydney. We stuck the ship up for a coffee pot, you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I remember the Daily Telegraph, which is a real vicious anti-union paper. You had the headline, "Storming a Coffee Pot." I always remember that,
The Seamen's Union of Australia, mate, what did it mean to you? And how did it influence the shipboard life and the seamen and their family, the welfare of the seamen and their families?
Yeah, well, the best thing about the Seamen's Union was that it was the rank and file participated in it. It wasn't just rule from the top; it came from the bottom too. I always remember Elliot used to say, "What has your ship done about it?" You know, put on this ship, yeah. And ships in those days used to produce leaflets.
Yeah.
And they all took an active part in the union, and it was very democratic because you had your stock work meetings, you had your COM reps meetings, and the rank and file helped make the policy. That was the key to it.
Yeah, a lot of
people were very proud of being members of the Seamen's Union.
That's right. A lot of other unions can't grasp that. We used to be, rank and file could talk to your federal secretary, could go into your union rooms and talk to your union officials.
That's right. Yeah.
And the rank and file were the ones who made the policies of the union.
That's right. Yeah. And ships were encouraged to write into the Seamen's Journal, which I think is lacking today.
Yeah.
This Maritime Journal they've got, it's bloody hopeless in my view, and I've already conveyed that to Paddy Crumlin in a letter to him about it.
Yeah.
There's no politics in it.
No.
And the Seamen's Journal, in my view, was one of the best union journals in the world at that time.
That's right, mate. It's more like a woman's magazine today.
It's Woman's Weekly, they call it here.
Yeah.
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 They do, yeah. It doesn't give a lead on any issues at all.
No.
No.
And 9 times out of 10 she gets your name wrong or bits and pieces of the story wrong.
Well, that's if you can get it in.
Yeah, that's if you can get it in, yeah.
Yeah, no. They've got to do something about that journal. And the point is, there's got to be more politics in the union.
Yeah.
Because if there's no politics, the boss will educate them for you.
That's
Don't worry
right.
about that.
That's right.
Then we've got to have working class politics in the union.
That's we're talking about the other day when I first got away. No TVs, or if you TV it, you lost it as soon as you got out through the heads.
That's right. Yeah.
And you sat down in the after hatch and you had political discussions, you had bloody good libraries, and you just don't see anything like that these days.
Well, funny you should mention that, because when I was a deck boy on the Ulaloo, one of the first books that influenced me came out of the library, and it was called The Great Conspiracy.
Yeah.
By Albert E. Kahn. And it was about the secret diplomacy against the Soviet Union, the war of intervention and all that. And it really influenced me a lot, that book. And I've still got a copy of it today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Any disputes in that, mate, shipboard or shore-wise, that you can remember you've been in?
Oh, well.
I mean, there's a lot of them. Take your pick.
There was all kinds of disputes.
Yeah.
But what we did, we supported the union in all those disputes, and they were handled in a fairly responsible way by the delegates aboard the ship. And the thing is that what's got to be stressed here, that the delegates are the union on the ship. That's the big one, and they take a very what shall I say, responsible attitude to the implementation of
union policy.
Policy, and also political affairs. You know? Yeah. If you look at some of the in the old journal from the rolling funds, you'll see a variety of things that they really supported. You know.
Yeah. And a lot of things are understated too, that the seamen and that looked after, like kids' hospitals and that. And one of the main things around here was the oncology department, wasn't it?
Well, we held the port up here. Brittain did.
Yeah. To
get the oncology unit, because people with cancer had to travel on the train to Sydney.
Yeah.
There was no treatment there. And we're still having that battle now with this state Labour government.
Yeah.
And the federal government, because what they've done, they've a public and private partnership with this bloody Maritime. What they're doing is that they're extending it, you know.
Yeah.
We wanted it built with the state money. What they've gone public-private partnership, which is handed it over to the developers. Well, what's going to happen is going to be 30 beds short.
Yeah.
And there's no MIR scanner there. So we've got that battle on again.
Yeah.
So those are the things. See, what privatisation does, gives taxpayers money to private enterprise, and the government lose control of it.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah. Any other disputes you can remember, mate?
Oh, where do you start? Want to start?
Yeah.
I remember for soup spoons. We had to hold the ship up for soup spoons. But just little things like that, you know. I remember the battle we had to get chicken and ice cream on a Sunday. And bloody the BHP got round that. They said it didn't have to be commercial ice cream, so they used to get the cooks to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, there was these were battles going on all the time. It's
Yeah.
a class struggle aboard a ship, you know. That's what goes on. You know.
They even had to stick ships up to get the second pillow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I remember sticking the ship up to get bloody mattresses.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were rubber ones that came aboard, and they proved unsatisfactory.
That's
but
right.
we had a big battle about them, yeah. And then we had the battle about the bloody 2 and 4pence and all that carry on with the overtime on weekends.
Yeah.
And BHP, if you were in your own port, they'd dock you the Saturday and Sunday off. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the struggle went on all the time, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and BHP were one of the best ones for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, they're no more. Neither is ANL.
Well, that's it.
Stop work meetings, mate.
They were, I think that they were very, very important, and the union's got to hang on to those. Even though the attendance is down now, but I can remember big stop work meetings in Newcastle and Sydney. Big ones, and they were very well debated, well run. People had their say there, and they were a vital part of the day-to-day working of the union. Stop work meetings.
Yeah, unfortunately now you can hard to get a bloody quorum.
Well, that's
best
right.
of times.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The remember before we got our Schedule C, and that how the seamen used to be picked for jobs and that.
Yeah, that was used to stand in a line here.
Yeah.
When I first went to see, that's what you did at the custom house here.
Yeah.
You should all line up in the middle of the yard, and how they used, and they'd say don't stand for that because that bloke will get it. The BHP, the BHP bulls, and all that. But what there was a kind of a democracy there, because if the mate or the engineer knocked a bloke back with a bad discharge, the next time they called, everybody would stand back and only one man would stand, you know. So there was all those little things going on, but the great thing was the roster system, because that gave the union control of the labour.
Yeah.
And that's the one that the employers have targeted to get people back to company employment, which unfortunately they were able to do. And I don't think there was enough done about that at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just went overnight. And after all those years of struggle to get it, yeah, because in those early days, I remember the role model was the American NMU union. They had a roster system there. It was based on the longest man ashore and the first chance away, and we used to always quote that system there. So that was a very progressive union at the time, but of course with the McCarthy era, all the bloody communists were put out, and Joe Curran took over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
The SRF.
Yeah, well, that was a great thing, because I can remember the old blokes at sea, and when they were finished, when they went down the gangway with the last pay, that was it.
Yeah.
That's what they had. You sometimes came across them as ship's watchmen or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then 9 times out of 10 the poor buggers, their last ship, the last pay, and they'd be dead 10 minutes later.
Well, that's right. Some of them committed suicide too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been overlooked by a lot of it.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, because they just had nothing else.
Yeah, I was on a ship with old Fireman was 72.
Yeah.
Still going, because once you the SRF has given more dignity to people now.
Yeah.
That's definitely.
I don't know whether you remember Arthur Robinson. He was the Peggy on the Lake Illawarra.
Not really, no.
He was about bloody 80 or something like that then.
Yeah.
And the strange part about it was he owned half a bloody top end of Newcastle and he was still going to sea.
Yeah. Oh, these people that I knew didn't now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how did going to sea affect your family life, mate?
Well, 2 divorces, I think that'd answer that, wouldn't it?
Yeah. No more. Yeah. And now that you're retired and that, what do you do now, mate? Are you still active in the industry and that?
Well, I'm secretary of the Newcastle branch of the Veterans Association. I'm also a delegate to Trades Hall, and I'm also on the public health committee of the Trades Hall, and I'm also the convener of MUSA in Newcastle.
Yeah, right. And in your spare time?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. There's one thing that we was very remiss of the first few interviews we done. We never asked anyone about the Seaman's Union School.
Well, that was very important.
Yeah.
Very important indeed. And we were able to get the class politics through there too. Apart from about the awards and all that, they did get political education. I don't know if you remember, Jeff Curphey was one, Professor Curphey,
No.
who used to speak down there, and Ray Clark,
Yeah.
both communists. And Ray Clark used to do public speaking and
Yeah.
all that lot, and Jeff Curphey used to do a little bit of economics and that. Yeah.
I had the...
It's very important. Unless you've got a class outlook, it's very difficult to find your way through the problems of today.
I was lucky enough to be at the last one that Pat Clancy done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a great bloke.
It wasn't too long after that he died.
That's right.
Yeah.
He had sugar diabetes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I attended one school where he was there, and he went for an hour and a half, and he was blind.
Yeah.
No notes whatsoever. Yeah.
Quite well. Was that one of the last ones he done?
Yeah.
It quite well could have been the one where I was at too,
Could
because
have been too.
he talked and without any notes and
That's it. Yeah.
No, it was a good time that
Mm.
And what do you think of the industry today, mate?
Well, it's gone through great changes, and I
Yeah.
think it's a backward step with the company employment.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things that came up, and I think that there's not enough socialist politics within the union.
Yeah.
That's one of the things. Mainly it's Labour Party politics, which in my view is a dead end. It's not going to lead anywhere, that. It locks you into the social democratic ideology. And I think that there's not many unions today, including this one, that's got socialism as one of its policies, like the Seaman's Union did.
Yeah.
And I think that the lack of politics is really one of the weaknesses in the union.
Yeah. The trouble is, if you can prize the young kids today away from their DVDs, their videos, or God knows what else, don't want to know too much about bloody politics.
Yeah, well, that depends, you see. We've got some young blokes in MUSA here, some on the Jabiru venture.
Yeah.
They've just donated $500 for MUSA in Newcastle.
Yeah.
And $500 for MUSA in Port Kembla. See, it's if you get the politics of the young people, they're just the same. I mean, they're no different than we was when we first went to sea. I knew nothing about politics.
No, that's right, yeah.
I learnt from the people I was with.
Yeah, it always seems to be Newcastle. I've shipped out of both ports, Newcastle and Kembla. They seem to be stronger that way there than like Melbourne. It's that hard. We've tried to restart MUSA a couple of times down there, and it's just
Well, Melbourne was always difficult. If you remember, even the Wharfies had big trouble down there with Jim Healy and all. When you read some of these things. But Newcastle's always been a fairly militant port.
Yeah.
And so has Port Kembla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it might have had something to do with the big Australian being in both ports, and whereas it wasn't as bad in Melbourne.
Well, if you weren't militant when you were up the gangway of a BHP ship, you certainly were when you came down.
When you walked down, that's for sure.
That's right, yeah.
Well, that's about it, Tommy. You got anything else you'd like to add apart from that?
Not really. It's just that I'd like to see more socialist politics in the union. I think that's the key.